Hello and welcome to RGDS, your retro gaming discussion show. It's Paul Driscoll here, aka the Drisk, and joining me, yes, he's back after a long hiatus. It's the G-Man himself, Garron Tungate. How are you, buddy? How's things?
Yeah, good. Good to be back. Like us all, busy. Been a busy week. A day's been hectic. So yeah. Thanks hanging on for to record. Well, I really
That's
do
all right.
appreciate that.
That's all right. Yeah. So in today's show, we thought we would give some much needed love to the wonderful Dreamcast, the SEGA Dreamcast, and we thought we'd try something a bit different this time. And essentially, it's a voyage of discovery through the Dreamcast. This will be a multi-part series that we'll do every now and again. And the idea is basically we start at the beginning of the alphabet and looking at the entire list of the wonderful library on the Dreamcast, we'll choose 10 classic games, and really that's the only rule. So we'll just choose the ones that jump out and our favourites of those 10, and then if and when we do another episode, it will be the next 10. So I think this takes us from the hash number of the alphabet all the way through to CO, isn't it, on the on the alphabet. But I think it's a great lineup, and I think it's testament to how wonderful the Dreamcast library is. So we'll hope that you enjoy this voyage of discovery as much as we do. But before we begin, let's, as always, talk about what we've been up to retro-wise. So, G, do you want to tell me and the listeners what you've been up to?
Well, for a change, quite a lot, if I'm honest. So I sort my games room out. So kind of I've got the 3 CRTs in there now that are all hooked up. I've got yeah, 2 PVMs and a Trinitron. So I've got some new switch boxes, some new leads. Yes, that took a while, but it probably hasn't been like that for a while. You see what it's in, like the small bedroom. But yeah, I said before, I'll probably get it into the other bed, one of the other bedrooms, because like Lauren's moved out. She's 21 this week, so might get a bit more space. But however, I've been doing that because it's been in there. I played a lot of kind of bits of PS2, obviously a lot of Dreamcast, and a little bit of GameCube. That'd be the one that I'd need to get some time into. I'm about to start playing Dragon's Quest 9 on the PS2.
Nice, I love that version. Yeah, it's great.
Yeah, it's a great game, but yeah, it's a lot of time has been setting up the room. Yeah, just looking at playing more games. I've ordered not quite retro, but I've ordered the Switch 2 Mario Kart bundle and a couple of other bits for it. So that'll come in June.
I must admit, I was umming and ahhing. I mean, I do love the idea of it, but yeah, I just couldn't justify laying the money out right now. To our listeners, I'm sure everybody, all our listeners will know, but it's out on the 5th of June, as you say, isn't it? And basically, is it that without Mario Kart, it's 395 quid, is it?
Yeah, that's correct, yeah.
And then how much is it? It's 429.99, isn't it? With
Mario Kart.
Mario Kart. But if you're to buy it on its own, and this is the thing that made me a little bit wary, is it's like essentially 75 quid a game, isn't it? Is what they're now going to be charging.
Absolutely huge. You do wonder whether the next round of AAA releases are going to be based on that, because looking at some of the shows, I'm sure some of the listeners have seen on YouTube and yourself, that they're looking at the value the game gives you and pricing it accordingly, aren't they? So Lord knows what GTA 6 is going to come out at.
I know, and that's the thing is, I don't know. I mean, I do love my Switch, I have to say, and I was a bit of a naysayer when they first announced it, and I've been proved wrong with that. So I'm willing to be proved wrong again. But I don't know. I just feel. I must admit, I'm not actually a fan of what I've seen of Mario Kart World, because I don't. For me, I like the arcade racing element where you go straight into the race. You know, I don't like this open world where you like all. It's like every other racing game, isn't it? Like Forza Horizon, where you just drive around this open world and then jump into the particular race that you're going to do, isn't it? And I'm sure that hopefully there's quick skips of that and stuff, but it just feels to overcomplicate it a little bit for me. But I can see a lot of people liking it, particularly with the multiplayer options, isn't it? Because now you can get the camera. Have you ordered the camera as well?
Yeah, so I've ordered so far. I've ordered the Mario pack. I mean, the camera.
Yeah.
and the Pro controller, and one of the extreme micro SD cards.
Yeah, God, I bet that's when you add them all that up, because like the Pro controller's like what was it, 75 quid, and
Yeah,
then
I wasn't adding it up, Paul.
yeah. God, you must have. It's not far off a grand, is it? When you lay it all in. How much
Yeah,
is how much is that super fast SD card? Is that
I
quite expensive?
think, yeah, they're selling out really quick, and unfortunately, the people are scalping those as well now. I think
Yeah.
it's about £38. And again, I look at it and I look at my Switch, and I think you've been the logical one. I've just thought kind of with the monkey brain and gone, yeah, order it.
Yeah.
But there's quite a lot out this year. The Analog 64 has been delayed.
Yeah.
I'm waiting on one of those Pi Misters. That should be soon. And the Super Station, that little FGPGA that in a small form factor of like the PS1.
Yeah.
But no, but in essence, that's some of the bits. But yeah, been playing a bit PS2 and Dreamcast. What have you been playing, mate?
Well, I finally got my Astro City, the horizontal one, which is great because I've now got, because Alistair's cost me loads of money because he keeps finding these deals. So I'm the proud owner of both the Astro City, the horizontal one, you know, the mini arcades.
Yep.
And I've got the vertical one. But I on the last episode, I was bemoaning, and I still hold up the bemoaning of limited run because, as I say, it took months and months for it to arrive because the first one apparently they attempted to deliver and then decided to send it all the way back, and then I had to wait for the next one. But it's arrived here now, and yeah, I'm pretty pleased. I can see the mount in front of me, and it's just really cool seeing like the three like mini arcade cabs. My Taito one, the Egret 2, is still my favourite. I think, you know, with the one where you can rotate the screen, but I've had that for a while. But the yeah, I think both the Astro Cities. It's a good lineup of games, isn't it? Like I know the vertical one you'll love with all the shooters.
Oh yeah, it's got Touch Fusion 2. The only like legal way of playing it outside of the FM Towns Marty.
Yes, yeah.
But yeah, they're great. I think they're really good quality. They're not too bad to play by themselves, are they? But you can plug the either like the joypad in or the arcade stick.
Yeah, I'm not bothered with all of that because I mean, I know they're just fun to sort of like play on. I mean, if I'm going to play it seriously, to be honest, I've got like my full arcade stick and my MAME set up. So, you know, I mean, you could argue, well, why did I bother with them? But it's just nice to have them. I've got them in the bedroom, and they don't take up much space, and it's, yeah, let's be honest, it's the closest I'm ever going to get to having my own arcade. So
you never know, Paul. Never say never. I agree. I think the Egret 2 is really good. I had the Egret 2 Mini Arcade Memories Volume 3 pack for it.
Yeah.
But yeah, a bit underwhelmed by it, if I'm honest. I'm totally underwhelmed.
Yeah, no, well, I've not been that impressed with some of the add-on packs. You know, when you think of the Taito library. I mean, the only disappointment I have with the Egret 2 is and I know why they've done it because of licensing, but it's the extra Rainbow Islands, the extra edition. It's the one that they made for the boy market, so it tends to be the darker colours, less bright, isn't it? And it's a shame that it's not the actual Rainbow Islands, which I much prefer.
But no, right, they're lovely. They're great to have, like I say. They're great to have. They're small. I do think they're quality because you can get the chairs kind of to go with them, like the benches and little risers as well.
Yeah, I'm not bothered with all of those, but they are very cool. Very cool. So yeah, so that's what I've been up to, and of course, like, you know, playing these games and yeah, just enjoying playing retro games. Obviously, I've been doing my top lists as bonus videos. So to our listeners that perhaps only listen to the audio ones, on our YouTube channel, I've been doing some bonus content. Totally free, but yeah, most recently I did the Mega Drive top 50 was it, and I'm surprised G's still talking to me because Truxton didn't make the list.
No, you put a lot of good shooters in there. I did see, but I do get that Truxton's not everyone's cup of tea because it's got such a steep learning curve. But the Mega Drive version of it but I just think it
Oh,
was
it
a
is
version that got
it is
me
an amazing version.
into
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I mean, and part of it was there was just so many other shooters, and I just wanted to talk up some of the lesser known ones because I think there's some amazing ones. There's such a great library of shooters, isn't there, on the Mega
Yeah.
Drive?
But I do think when you do your top 30s, 40s, 50s, I think the breadth of your knowledge and some of the lesser known games is
Yeah.
what I think is really good and adds value to people watching all the way through it. Just to understand and get your views on some of these lesser known games that you just wouldn't necessarily play. And now people have got the chance to emulate. It doesn't take long just to go and have a look, because there are some fantastic games that have passed us by. Because if your games lists aren't like the top 30, they're to you. And it's not just, right, here's Mega Drive, here's Sonic 1, 2, Mickey Mouse, Castle of Illusion. There's some real depth in there.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I try to like combine, because you're right. You don't want to fill up half the list with Sonic games, so I'll choose one Sonic game and just combine the rest. And same with the other ones. And yeah, it's hopefully, they've been popular, and I know there's been quite a lot of people enjoyed the Mega CD, because I think a lot of people make the understandable assumption that the Mega CD library is not very good because they look at all the full motion video and all of that stuff, and to be honest, yeah, I didn't choose one full motion video game. I gave honourable mentions because you've got to give it a shout out, but there's under the belly of it. There's a amazing library on the Mega CD, so I was keen to shout that out, and that seems to be popular with people.
It's really good. I think we should have, when we look back in hindsight, I should have asked you to release the Gordon King version with 1 to 40 of Wardner on the Mega Drive, just to see what he said.
Yeah,
just all of it as Wardner.
he send him over the edge.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah, awesome. Well, shall we? Without further ado, shall we go into the show, the games themselves? Then, shall we?
Let's dive in.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's go on to our first game of the Voyage of Discovery as we go through the wonderful Dreamcast system. And of course, it's wonderful. What's great, isn't it, with the Dreamcast is not only is it a brilliant machine, but it's got amazing emulators these days. I mean, Redream, I think, is the best emulator. If you've got like a PC, a reasonable PC, because it upscales it far more beautiful than how it would ever look. I mean, you can go right up to 4K, and the compatibility rate is nigh on perfect. Whatever you throw at it, pretty much whatever I've thrown at it, it seems to be absolutely fine. So definitely recommend. I think for the 4K version, there is like a nominal one-off fee that you have to pay for the emulator. You can, I think, if you don't care about upscaling to 4K, it's free, but it's worth whatever the 10 or 15 quid, whatever they charge you. It's definitely worth it if you've as long as you got the machine, the machine to run it, isn't it? I mean, have you used any emulators, or you're still?
I am the caveman of the podcast. I played everything on original hardware. I'm lucky enough to have quite a lot of Dreamcast games.
Yeah.
And consoles and the peripherals. So I did not kind of capitulate. I was a bit lazy. The first Dreamcast I went to use was for one of the games on the list, which is Paloni. Mm-hmm. And the Dreamcast played up. So I did put a GDMU in there.
Yeah.
And played a mixture of GDMU games where I was too lazy to go to the loft and get them down, and just some off disc, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I mean, I've got like the disk drive emulator as well, GDMU. Or is that an emulator? Is it on the Mac? But
no, it's just the GDMU, the drive that you
the
put
drive
in the
emulator.
Dreamcast.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. So I've got a similar thing on the original hardware, but to be honest, these days because Redream does such an amazing job, I tend to use Redream just because it just works so well. But anyway, as you probably heard with that music before that little preamble, the first game is the fantastic, if short, 18 wheeler American Pro Trucker. This came out in 2001, obviously done by Sega and Sega AM2, so you know the great internal development house behind Outrun and all the others. And this is, I think, just great, isn't it? I mean, it's. Do you want to describe it? Because I'm mindful I've done a lot of talking. So do you want to describe it to our listeners?
So yeah, it's an arcade conversion, like you say, from Naomi Cabinet, and many of the games we talk about this evening are direct conversions from the Sega Naomi hardware that was so successful and versatile in the arcades. In this game, it is a truck racing game. So in a typical Sega fashion of going through stages, and you go from one side of America to the other, and you are in an 18-wheeler big American trucker. You pick up different loads along your way of different weights, and as you pass different checkpoints, you will get different point rewards. But we don't all play the games for the points. We play it just to see it, or see the game. You've got a choice of different truckers that you can choose at the front, and you have a rival that will try and push you off the road, and you'll get extra points if you get to the next checkpoint ahead of them. Like I say, it's probably a great game in the arcade. I mean, the arcade machine has got some fantastic cabinets. It's got the stand-up Naomi, and it's got the very large sit-down truck with a very large steering wheel, and that's where I used to play it. Well, I played it in Felixstowe. Charlie Manning's have still got one of these, but the steering wheel's on it a bit poor. You can slipstream behind your opponent to get extra speed, and as you go, and when you get, it's got some differences on the Dreamcast version, and it's a more enhanced version. So you can do parking challenges or different challenges at the end of the level to get extra points. I think that it's a really good game. The graphics are good. It's got loads of little touches like a magazine that will move, and bits that will move in the cab as you go. It's extremely faithful to the arcade. And it's one of those ones, if you don't play it, even if you have a look on YouTube, and I'll tell you that probably with a couple of these games, there's just so much going on, especially when you think of the time it came out. Some of the backgrounds, the sceneries are brilliant, and unfortunately, like the tornado that comes across, and it's really good. And some of the levels are diverse. I mean, I like the Las Vegas level as you go through, and it is essentially like outrunning a truck.
It is. It's just. It's really cool, isn't it? I mean, you can tell it's essentially using the same engine as like Crazy Taxi, which came out at a similar time, and it just, as you say, it was so unique. I mean, it was great in the arcade, of course, because you got the big steering wheel, isn't it, of the truck, and you got the horn and everything. And obviously, with the Dreamcast version or the home ports, you lose a little something from that side of things, but undeniably, it's got that mixture of. It's like a more focused Crazy Taxi, whereas Crazy Taxi can go any direction. This, of course, you're going pretty much from A to B. The idea is you're going across America, as you say, trying to beat your rival. But yeah, the Dreamcast does add a lot more, because whereas with the arcade, you didn't have the parking challenges like you mentioned, so they did give a little bit more playability, because that's one thing you probably would argue with this. If it has any criticism, it's probably the fact that it's too short, like the arcade parent. I mean, the arcade parent, once you get through, I think is it like four sections, isn't it? And then you're done pretty much in the arcade. But yeah, I just really enjoy it. It's got the great challenge, because it's all about you've got those exploding firework trucks, isn't it, that give you extra time, and it's so important to crash into those, isn't it?
It is. Get extra 3 seconds, can't you, from that?
Yeah. No, I really love. I've always loved this back in the day, and I've been lucky enough to play it in the arcade recently at Retro Realm. They've got it there, and yeah, I mean, I just think it's. Although it's short, it's one that I've always enjoyed going back to because it's just looks so unique and wonderful, and yeah, and the Dreamcast gives you even more content, which is great. As you say, you've got all the parking, and I think there's more sort of vehicles that you can do, and a few more challenges and things. So it's sort of worth it for that one. Of course, if you don't have a Dreamcast, they did eventually, because sadly this was the point when the Dreamcast and Sega had stopped, pulled out of the hardware market. So a couple of years later, you did get a great port on the GameCube and the PS2, but the GameCube in particular is a wonderful port because, of course, it's even upscaled a little bit more, isn't it, than the Dreamcast? But back in the day, I mean, I remember picking this up pretty much day one because I love my Dreamcast, and having so much fun playing my way through this fantastic game. Just out of curiosity, because a lot of people don't know with this, have you ever played the sequel?
I have, never in the arcade. And you mentioned it, so I've been playing it on PS2, King of Route 66.
Yes, yeah.
And again, AM2 again, it was an Naomi 2 board this time. There's a little bit more story in this one, I think, isn't there? And you get Nitro, so this reminds me of kind of Simpsons mixed with 18-wheeler and Crazy Taxi, kind of all bundled into one. It's a much more frenetic game. There's more jumping, there's more destruction. And there's a bit of a story because you've got the rival gang this time, haven't you?
Yeah, I think it's great, and it's such a shame that a lot of people don't realise, because like often when I say, have people played like the sequel, people will say, "Oh, what you mean that big mother trucker?" And it's like, no, not that one. That's awful. That's nothing to do with Sega. That's this one is actually really, really quite good. I think I've been lucky enough to play the sequel in the arcade. Actually, I believe it was in Blackpool when I was down there. The in Arcade Club in Blackpool.
Yeah.
So for people of that way, that's a great way to play it. Yeah, no, I think it's a great way to start on our journey. I think it, as you say, it plays stunning, and of course you got some Keiichi Matsunami as director, and things like that. I mean, it's just. Yeah, I just think it's a really, really good one. Although I do understand why it did get mixed reviews back in the day, just purely because, to be honest, in an hour's time, you've pretty much seen everything there is to see, which didn't bother me instantly. I mean, did it bother you when you got it? Cause,
no, and I think it has got replayability on home version. You can do like all the mini games. I think that there's a few games here like the arcade conversion. So many of these were meant for the arcade and instant gratification and to get credits. But credit to Sega, on a lot of the games they have put extra features in to go to a bit of longevity at home.
Yeah,
it's not a bad price to pick up now. I think it's about £25 to £35, so it's not bad.
Too bad. Yeah, although I would say, probably for similar price, if you've got the multiple platforms, probably get the GameCube version. That's probably the pinnacle home port, official home port, just because it's slightly better graphics. But of course, if you're playing it on Redream, that looks fantastic on the Dreamcast.
Yeah, I haven't looked at it. But the director of this, she's really good. She went on to the Project Diva games, which I absolutely love.
Yeah, you love those, don't you?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Awesome. Right, so we go on to the next one then?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, as you heard with that funky little music there, the next one on our journey is Aqua GT on the Dreamcast. Now, this came out in the year 2000, and it was done by Take-Two Interactive and developed by East Point Software. And these are the people behind Promethean Designs, who did Renegade Racers and things like that. And I've always quite liked Aqua GT. It's sort of like again, it's an arcade powerboat racer. But I was always quite impressed with the graphics. I love how it's got the concept of a sort of flooded future world, isn't it? So you're going around London and the rivers of the Thames and going past Downing Street and all of that, and well, not Downing Street, but Big Ben, Houses of Parliament, and I was always loved it. I mean, I know it got criticised quite a bit because of being a little bit repetitive and perhaps didn't have the same sort of wave mechanics of Hydro Thunder. I mean, it did get overshadowed a little bit by Hydro Thunder, really, but and understandably so, that is probably the better game. But consequently, I think it's good to shout out this game because I think it's got nice variety. It's a lot of fun to play. It's got great music, and I'm a real fan of this one. I mean, what about you? What's your take with this one?
So I was a bit negative about it to start with, if I'm being really honest. It's a PAL exclusive game. It's quite expensive to buy. I mind about the £32 I paid for it, and it's like nearly £100 now.
How does it really?
It is, yeah, because I think the people who want that PAL set, you needed to get it. I think people from if you're like a US Dreamcast collector and you want to get all of the games in the library, you have to have a PAL one of these. I think so. The water effects, like you say, I don't think they're as good as what's gone before it. Even Wave Race on the N64, I think was probably better. However, if you kind of take that out, I do quite like it. It's quite good. It's definitely got loads of missed potential. I was reading a bit on the Dreamcast Junkyard by Tom, saying it had like a real development hell, and it changed its name and concept. And I think some of that made its way to the game. Even the loading screen, I think, looks like an Amiga loading screen, which isn't. It's the loading screen. I absolutely get that. But I think you've got 6 other boats. It is competitive. I think that it can be better. I think if you get hit once, you go to the back of the pack, don't you? And it's quite hard to get through. It is quite brutal.
Yeah, I was going to say that's probably the only thing I don't like with it is very frustrating in that regard, isn't it? But then I guess it does make you does have that I'll have another go, and I think, and I like the the different cities and things and sort of that side of things. Yeah,
absolutely. I played it longer than I thought I was going to. I think the negative bit for me, I think the engine noises were a bit bland.
Yeah.
And I think that it adds, it's got the night and day mode. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
But when you think it's got a high tide and a low tide, I did think that was going to make something different, or if it was kind of low tide, it might open up a shortcut or a jump or something like that. But I don't know if it was up because of that development hell, it never got added in or something. But like I say, pick up and play. It's not as bad as the reviews make out. It's not a great game. Let's say as we go through the episodes, there will be better water races, but it's not bad, and it is great for 15-minute blast, I think.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I like with it, is it's just like with a lot of these, and this is why I was always drawn to Sega, and why when everybody else had their PlayStation and PlayStation 2 and all of this, I went for the Dreamcast because I've always been drawn to the arcade style games, that pick up and play, that immediacy, which the Sega, particularly in this period, well, always really, but particularly, they were at their heyday in many ways of creativity during the Dreamcast era, weren't they? Where they were really not afraid to try all these different things, and then you had other games sort of like Ape It, like this, which might not be as good, but just had that immediacy. Something that I feel is quite lost in today's sort of like modern gaming. Everybody wants like 100 hours of pain. and stuff.
Yeah.
And I've just never been that way. But I get you. It is probably one of the weakest of the library, but I'm glad we shouted it out purely because I think it's still is a lot of fun to play.
Yeah, I think it's not a bad game. I think it's missed potential.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough to say. And of course, it's also got the usual thing like split screen and stuff like that. But yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head saying that it's better than the reviews, because you're right. If you read the reviews, they're quite scathing, aren't they? Really.
Yeah, and so playing it with like the control of rumble and everything does add a bit more to it.
Yes, yeah, I quite like it with that. Right, okay, so we're rattling through these, but that's the idea of this because it's 10 games to cover. And for the next game, I really love this. Actually, do you want to describe it to our listeners? It is Border Down.
Pew, pew, pew. Shoot me in the face.
Yeah.
So, Border Down is a horizontal shmup published by and developed by G-Rev. Came out in 2003. This was a game that could have broken the dev team. So G-Rev set up by 5 ex-Taito devs, and they had worked on games like G-Darius and Raystorm before. But to help get funds for this game, they helped out on the amazing Mikruda and Gradius 5 on the PS2 to generate funds. It is kind of a spiritual successor to Metal Black, which some of the team worked on, which is arcade and Saturn.
Yeah.
And never saw this in the arcades when it was current, but I did when I went back to Japan. So it's got a bit of a story like all shmups have, but we won't really get into that. Yeah, fighting forces from Mars, that's quite novel, isn't it? Never done that before. And you've got your fighter. So Border Down, the name of the game, is a system in the game where it's a series of levels. They're indicated by colours: green, yellow and red. And you can start in different borders. It will increase your score and a score multiplier. But when you lose a ship, you go to the next border and they get harder. And you do get kind of a map of it, like you see the Darius split map. You can see where there's a merging of ideas. And when you clear a stage, you've got the option of selecting the border for the next stage. So you can finish a red and you can go back to a green. In your ship, you've got different level options. They power up. I think the max power is 5. And there's a laser that can be powered up when the gauge is over halfway, and it will shoot an enhanced laser which will reflect the enemy shots, and that comes kind of out of the Darius series. I think it started in G Darius, where you can reflect the boss's big shots and weapons at you. It's got some fantastic looking backgrounds. It does look like it's a straight port from the arcade, and it's got different modes in it. So you can play the remix mode. The soundtrack was so popular.
I love it. I love the music.
It had a release all on its own. It sold out. It had to have a re-release in Japan just of the soundtrack without the game.
I can understand that. It's stunning, isn't it? And
it is. It's a sought after game. It's quite expensive, so about £150 for the non-limited edition, and some of the limited editions go up to like maybe £500 where it's bundled with the CD and the game music. So some of the Dreamcast versions cost as much as Naomi version. So with the gameplay, it's a lot around the backgrounds. It does add a bit of difference with the different lasers and weapons you can use. The bosses are very good. The boss patterns are good. It's a great game to look at, and it's really good fun.
Makes a lot of sense with what you're saying with Darius connection, because a lot of the bosses kind of remind me of that, isn't it? Because they're sort of, although they're not fishy, they're huge and they're quite memorable, and really really good boss battles in this, isn't it?
It is, and just how they rotate onto the screen, it sorts Darius. But it's a game I'd hadn't played. Well, I've had and dipped in and out of, but yeah, really enjoyed getting back into this. It is quite a hard game, I have to say as well.
It
It's not
is.
one of the easier ones.
Well, that's one of the things that's so frustrating in some ways, but I guess it's the concept, isn't it? Is, of course, if you start on the green, when you start on the green level, on the green border, when you die, it puts you on the harder.
Yeah,
It puts you on the
like,
yellow level and then the red, so it gets harder. It's like, no, I don't want to get harder. Can't you tell I'm dying here? So make it easier for me. But I really love this. This is one of my favourite shooters. I prefer this over Ikaruga and stuff. I've never quite got on with that as much, if I'm honest. But because the switching mechanics of Ikaruga.
Yeah, that's a chalk. That's on those chalk and cheese games, didn't you? Either like it or you hate it because of that polarity change.
Yeah, it's just it's like rubbing your belly, and I can't do it. I'm a simple boy. I need to just see things and shoot. I can't think of other mechanics. No, this is good. It's as you say. I think a lot of the team worked on also like Under Defeat as well.
Yeah, I don't like that, so I didn't mention it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I get you with Under Defeat. Actually, it's not one of my favourites going back to it, but of course that's one that I'm sure we might hit on the way down the line with the Dreamcast as we go through. But no, this is genuinely one of my favourite, certainly horizontal shooters on the Dreamcast. I think it looks beautiful. I mean, it's a shame so many of these. Why don't they just re-release them on modern machines? They would do so well, wouldn't they? All of these games actually we're going to talk about. If they released it for a reasonable amount digitally, I think it would do so well on modern machines.
Yeah, absolutely. It's one of these. This is one of the games where I always thought it was going to get kind of an Xbox 360 release because some of the G-Rev games went on to the 360.
Yeah, but it didn't, did it? No, I mean
It's stayed on the Dreamcast where it's very expensive.
Yeah, and it's such a shame. But of course, this is the beauty of emulation, that you can, people can enjoy some of these rarer games, which is nice to see. But, maybe one day, Sega keep on threatening that they're going to do like a Netflix service, isn't it? That's what the rumours are of. So maybe some of these obscure ones will be in with all the big classics as well, go through some of the Dreamcast library. I think it would do very well if Sega did it, yeah, because I don't feel Sega really make the best use of their history. They've got such a rich history. It fries my brain that, I have to buy like the Astro City that we were talking about to get legitimate some of the legitimate Sega games, and it's like, well, there's so many more I want to play, and why can't I have it on my Xbox legitimately or whatever? But hey ho. So, should we go on to the next game then?
Indeed, let's head on to that.
Okay, as you heard with that funky music, it is another, I think, a really good little racer that a lot of people by. It is Buggy Heat. Came out in 1999, developed by CRI Middleware and published by Sega of Europe, and in America I think it was ASC Games. It has a real weird name, isn't it? In America, is it TNN? I can't remember. It's a real long...
Motorsports Hardcore or something, isn't it?
Yeah, something. But I prefer the Europe name, which is Buggy Heat. And I really like this. This is essentially arcade buggy racing game, as you'd expect. But it really feels like an arcade game. It looks great. It's got great tracks. I love the fact, although they're a little bit sort of like boring, the characters, but you do see the like portrait pictures of the characters you're racing against, so it gives you a sense. It's got amazing sense of speed, and I really enjoy the variety of the tracks, even though there is some sharp edges. Ultimate no with racing games, there are some sharp edges on the track designs, which means that you can lose so much time by just catching a corner, and then you have to like reverse and carry on, which is a bit of a no with these sort of arcade racers. But I adore this one. I mean, what about you? What's your thoughts with this one?
It's one of the first games I had on my import Dreamcast. Buggy, really like it. It's got lots of little touches that I really like in a racing game. So we said about the portraits. I love a map. I'm a fan of a map in a game, whether it's kind of like Monaco GP and that. So I do like that.
Yeah.
I like all of the tracks. The one thing I think in the game that does grate me a little bit is on the sand levels, where the animation of the sand being kicked up by the wheels. I find a little bit off-putting. I know that's just me.
No, I know what you mean. It doesn't look very good, does it? Yeah.
No, that's a bit... I don't get it. But other than that, what you've said, I could go back to this game again and again. So I put a lot of time into it. Yeah, kind of in 1999, if I'm being honest. That's when I got it.
Yeah.
But it's one of those ones to just go back and, like I say, treat it like an arcade game. There's some tracks I'm okay at, and there's some tracks that I'm kind of really, really not okay. The buggies, there's a variety of buggies to have. They do kind of handle kind of slightly differently. But you're right with the sensation of speed, the terrain that you go over. This is a really fun, solid little racer that's just got so much going for it, I think. And again, it didn't review, I don't think that well, did it?
No, not particularly well. I mean, this is the trouble, and this is why it's always been a bit of a bugbear with me. But a lot of the like professional reviewers, they keep on, once Gran Turismo and things came along, and they still do it today, is that they'll say, oh, it's not very good because it doesn't have like a million cars and doesn't have a million tracks and all of this, and it's but it's sort of missing the point of an arcade racer. What an arcade racer is, it doesn't need a million cars, because it's not about that. It's about enjoying just having a quick blast and a playthrough, and this, I think, does it really, really solidly. And it's one that, because it didn't review particularly well, and because it was only on the Dreamcast, a lot of our listeners may never have heard of this. So it's one that all the ones we're going to talk about, I think definitely urge you to give it a go. But particularly if you love your arcade racers, this is a bit of a hidden gem, I think. It's I'm probably overselling it a little bit, but it's I think for arcade racing games that people don't know that much. I mean, it certainly made my top 101, wasn't it? I think it was just made it in the list there. So I do rate it.
If you pick it up or go to emulate it, or you've got it, and give it half an hour, just to let it to grow, and you get used to a couple of its like idiosyncrasies. There's worse. There's a lot worse out there. Like I say, there's a lot better, but it's one of the ones that if you're going to emulate it, just try it. It's worth a play.
Yeah, and it's got nice weather effects, and like the thunder and lightning, the sandstorm, isn't it? I mean, it does give a surprising amount of variety for these kind of games, because usually you only get like 3 tracks, and and not much variety to the weather effects. Whether this will, okay, you still got limited tracks, but it does nighttime and different weathers to make it sort of like interesting, isn't it? So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm with you. I think this is a really, really solid one, and one that I definitely love going back to. If you got the itch to play an arcade racer, this is definitely one to play. Right, okay, so we go on to the next game then.
Let's go. It's a good
Yeah.
one.
So we're already halfway through, and this is we've made it to the letter C already on our voyage of discovery, and this is Cannon Spike. This came out in 2000, and it's another pew pew shooty, but it's done by Psychio, or how do you say it? Psychio? I don't know how you pronounce it.
Psychio, I think. I see it, but
Psychio.
we know what you mean.
Yeah, developed by Psychio and published by Capcom. And what's cool about this is it has basically, it's like an overhead sort of shooter, although you're sort of hovering around, isn't it? It's not overhead. It's I don't know how. I'll let you describe it. It's a shooter. I'll let you describe it.
So it's kind of like an arena-based shooter.
Yeah.
Forced third person, so a little bit of a grown-up Smash TV perspective. It's got some fantastic sprites. It's known as Gun Spike, I think it is in Japan.
Yeah.
And it's got the characters from other Capcom games. So I played as Cammy from Street Fighter, so it's quite fast. And you've got other places, so you've got Arthur from like Ghosts and Goblin Ghouls and Ghosts in there. And there's hidden characters, so there's Mega Man in there as well. So there's a few things to uncover. And it is basically quite short levels, and you control your character with the joypad, and you can shoot in different directions.
Yeah, it takes a little while to get used to it because you kind of want the twin stick, isn't it? And of course you haven't got a twin stick. Yeah,
it's quite unintuitive to start with, but you have got the lock-on that will lock on your weapon. So you've got a lock-on, which is a trigger, and you've got a strong shot, and you have got a normal shot and strong shot, and you've got 2 melee attacks as well. So if you get close to the enemies, you can not only shoot them, you can give them a good old wallop as well. With normal Psycho games, it mixes the levels up. So when you play it, you don't get the same levels for like level 1, isn't it? The same arena every time you play it, and it's got different themes. It is very, very fast paced, and you've got different power ups, and you get the more power ups you can then use. Obviously, kind of use those. It's not a long game, but it's one of those ones that you could fall out of love with it quite easily because of what you'd think, how you would aim like you do in kind of Robotron, Smash TV, and things like that.
It is crying for a twin stick. I'd love to see this remade with like HD, just upscale the graphics a little bit, but give you the twin stick. It would be awesome. But you do get used to it once you click with it. It is a great game. I love the variety, and it's just nice that it gives so many nods to the Capcom back catalogue, isn't it, really, with all the different Capcom games and stuff, because you get like, I presume is it like the Resident Evil style sort of levels and things like that.
The zombies and levels and that.
Lots of little nods. I really, really love the little touches, and as you say, there is the replayability, although it's essentially the same game, but because it mixes it up, and you're really encouraged to sort of play through all the characters, isn't it? I'm probably like you. I quite like Cammy or Arthur as my favourites, but there's a nice variety of like playable characters, and you say there's some unlockable ones as well once you get through. So yeah, it's again, it's another one that I think is just, it's unique to the platform. I don't think it ever got a home port anywhere else, and I think it was it in the arcade as well? I don't know. I've never seen it in the arcade.
It was an arcade game, but in the arcade it only had 3 buttons, so you had to do different combinations, where on the Dreamcast it's just one button does one type of fire. I say it's like a hugely expensive game.
Yeah, it's a shame, isn't it? It goes for so much. Yeah,
So this would be, even I'd say, you've got to emulate this.
yeah.
I think it's probably one of the most expensive Dreamcast games.
So how much is it? Then go on, make my eyes water.
So the Japanese and US about 150 to 200
Yeah.
pounds, and the UK one £400 to £600. I think it's the last game kind of that sort of came out
Wow,
in the
that's
UK.
insane, isn't it? God. Yeah, it's I kind of regret doing all those pirate discs of the Dreamcast when I had one, rather than buy some of these games. I would be rolling in it now. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I was having a look at that. I'm really lucky. I have got kind of the UK. I've got a lot of Dreamcast games. But when I started going to these computer fairs like the London Gaming Market and everything, I'd go and I went to the first few. I didn't really buy very much because I'm lucky that I've got what I really wanted. So to give me something to do and to look at and to make sure I went around all the stores, I actually looked at the missing PAL games I didn't have.
yeah,
And this wasn't one of them. I would have had this one, but I had this price list then of like how much I wanted to pay for or expected to pay for some of the games, and even then the games have gone up maybe like 3 times the amount of that list in kind of the last 7 or 8 years. It's
yeah.
crazy how much Dreamcast has gone up, and some of it I think might be because the cases in the UK we had the blue cases are so fragile.
Yes, yeah. Oh, I hate the cases. They just say they just almost disintegrate in your hand, isn't it? It's
Yeah.
it's a nightmare. But having said that, I mean, I do like visually. I do like the blue. It looks good on the shelf, I think. But it's yeah, the actual case design is pretty awful.
Yeah, you can't get as many out on the shelf. So I've got a shelf with my Japanese games. I've got my American games, and I've just got a bit of a curated version of the UK games, and the rest are up in the loft.
This is kind of a shame as well, isn't it? That a lot of these games, they never made better use of the VDU, because that was quite unique, wasn't it? With the Dreamcast, you had like a little LCD, the memory stick that you put in the into the controller would basically be a little LCD thing, and some gave you like a little mini game which was cool and stuff, but mostly the vast majority, isn't it, there was just no more than just telling you the score or the number of lives, or not at all often, isn't it? Which is, yeah.
And I was looking at that when I've been playing. It's one of the things I've been seeing if there's anything different. But you're right, very bland on a lot of these.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see this on the modern consoles, and it would be so popular because, of course, Capcom are just as popular, if not more popular, than they ever were, isn't it? So, you know, the combination of a shooter with Capcom would be awesome. Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of this one, but you're right, it's ridiculous what the price is that it goes for.
But you're right, I do like it. It's great visually, great bosses, and you do have to move around the screen. But once you've got that the lock on worked out and how to direct your fire, it is brilliant gameplay. Really, really good.
Yeah, and of course, you know, as you say, this is done, although it's Sikio, Shinsuke Nakamura. You know, he did like Gunbird and Samurai Aces, you know, so he's the director of this, and obviously you've got from the Capcom side as producer Tatsuya Minami. I'm probably destroying the names there, but he's of course, you know, involved with like games like Resident Evil and Devil May Cry, and of course, you know, went on to found Platinum Games. So you know, there's some real quality people that worked on this, and you can see with the quality coming out of every pore. It's a really good shooter. I really like it. Probably you could say that it's short, but then for shooters you kind of want short, don't you? Because otherwise it gets too much if you got too many levels. That's not really how you play a shooter, isn't it? Is it's all about how far can I get on one credit.
Yeah. You're right, and it's even like some of the best looping of the best shooters are about 25 minutes. But this has got unlockables. It was popular in the arcade in Japan when it came out.
I can imagine.
See why.
Yeah, I'm surprised. It's a shame I never ever saw it in the wild. over in the UK. But I mean, I did have I've sadly not bought a copy of it, but I did love this, playing it. It's another one, and this is what I'm hoping to our listeners, because I know Charlie, for example, is always deriding that he thinks the Dreamcast is rubbish, for example, and I know some listeners, they don't really know the Dreamcast, and I will always counter that it's not. There's some amazing games on the Dreamcast, so my hope is that this episode will encourage people to sort of like try some of these games and experience it, isn't it?
Yeah, I think as we go through the list, but there'll be some games that are the best of their genre in all of the retro games. And if you're going to say kind of a top-down arena-based shooter, this is the best in the genre of anything, really. I mean, I think it's better than things like Geometry Wars.
Yeah, I mean, I do love Geometry Wars, but I think it just tips it over the edge, the fact that you've got the Capcom references. It's a real.
Absolutely.
It becomes not just a great arena shooter, but you've got the little, I recognise that, and it's a real sort of deep cuts of the Capcom library that to connoisseurs like us, you'll really appreciate. Okay, so we're on number 6 already, and it is Capcom versus SNK 2 Millionaire Fighting 2001. There's a mouthful. And of course, this is one of the many fighting games that came out on the Dreamcast, but this is of course done by Capcom and was the pinnacle really of that crossover, because you didn't just have like Marvel and things, as great as those were, it was all about sort of like all out madness, wasn't it? Whether with Capcom versus SNK series, it was really exciting because of course you had that rivalry in that different ways between the SNK fighters like King of Fighters and all of those great games, and of course the Street Fighter series, and of course being Capcom, the wider variety of characters. And I love this. This is one of my favourite fighters because it gives you such an amazing roster, doesn't it? I mean, I've never bothered counting them, but there's probably about 30 as their fighters, I would say.
There's some really good ones.
Yeah, some really good ones, and and of course it's like the ones that you really care about on Street Fighter 2 and the ones you really care about on sort of like your SNK fighters, and then a few other little nods, isn't it, to other sort of more obscure Capcom characters. But what I like with this is it's not just about madness. It's genuinely it's not the novelty factors. These are like the good fighters of the best, really. You're getting the best between the Street Fighter world and the SNK world, which is, I think, awesome. Now, I think you'd push quite hard for this one to be included because my natural inclination is not to include fighters, but I think it was right to include this because I think it is the pinnacle of the 2D fighting of this style. But do you want to say a little bit more to our listeners about this one?
So, as a non-fighting fan, I like 3 fighting games. Street Fighter 2 on the SNES.
Yeah.
I like Tekken on the PlayStation, and I like Soul Calibur on the Dreamcast. However, this one is really good because as a non-fighting fan, this was at the time I was collecting, around the year 2000, my peak collecting. So I'd started to get a lot of Neo Geo AES fighters. I know I was picking them up for like £30.
Wow. I wish I had
a
yours
game.
foresight.
So with this, going back to, I got my Cannon Spike, my US copy, for $9.99 at GameStop on holiday.
Insane, isn't it? Insane.
It is. So I've got quite a few fighters on the Neo Geo. I never got deep into the Mark of the Rules Grow, the Terry Bogard bit. People are really into it, and I just kind of scratched the surface of it, and like Samurai Showdown and the fighters on there, and it has got some great fighters, but at the time I didn't invest kind of much time into them. However, with this title, I did. So, and that sounds really strange. This is one where I actually kind of got to grips with some of the SNK fighting universe. I used some of the Capcom ones because you can team up your team, and there's loads of depth into this game where you've got the grooves, you can assign points into your team. There's so much to it. It's got a lot of fan service. It's got a lot of the girl fighters from the Capcom universe. So I did button bash a bit with this, and I went to the manual and I kind of got my team together. So there's Cammy, there's Mickey and maybe Terry, and kind of got the moves on my phone, so it just gave me a little bit more depth to play it. So a bit of trivia, one of Cammy's special moves is Cannon Spike, which is why Cannon Spike is called Cannon Spike.
Unless you're in Japan.
Unless you're in Japan.
That makes sense, yeah.
And it's called Gun Spike. Yeah, so it's in there, and there's a lot. I think some of the special moves are easier to pull off than I first thought. This does link to the Neo Geo Pocket. If you've got SNK versus Capcom Card Fighters, you can use a link cable between the Dreamcast and the Neo Geo Pocket. I think it's 4 games or 5 that actually.
What does that do then?
Actually do that.
Does it give extra characters or?
So it unlocks some different artwork, and it unlocks some different cards on the Neo Geo Pocket Card Fighters Clash.
Oh, that's so cool.
With that.
That's really cool. I mean, I love this. I mean, the artwork, of course, is done like it's very much sort of like the Alpha series, isn't it? Where it's sort of the manga drawn style. But I love the backgrounds on this. I mean, there's so much exciting stuff going on. I mean, you got like the Dakar rally, isn't it? With the cars flying
jumping,
overhead, and you've got like the London level with the
London bus that goes
the
around.
London bus goes round, and I mean, this really was sort of you always felt as good as like when you had the Saturn, because I was a big Saturn nut as well. You could always feel it was struggling a little bit, like when you got to the Alpha series and things, whether on the Dreamcast it was just, it could do it in its sleep, and it just looks so brilliant. And of course you got that fantastic announcer, and it's just a whole thing of it. I personally think this is one of my favourite fighters, because it doesn't, whereas a lot of 2D fighters, because whereas a lot of some of the crossover ones, they tend to rely on novelty and madness, which I enjoy, don't get me wrong, but this does have the deepness if you want to dive in. I mean, I never do. I'm eternally a bash the buttons and hope kind of thing, and I've never moved beyond it. But I've always enjoyed them, even playing to that level. You can usually get quite far on single player, at least, doing that method. Yeah,
I used the arcade stick to play some of this, which gave it a bit more of an arcadey feel.
Yeah, it's good. It's a good arcade stick, isn't it, on the Dreamcast? Yeah.
So I was lucky enough. I think with all the games, I did use peripherals like the steering wheel on the races and the arcade stick on this.
Nice.
But if I was just to have one 2D fighting game, it would be this.
Yeah, I think so, because you got, as I say, it's just such an amazing roster of characters, and you really do have the best of the SNK and Capcom world.
And there's so many different modes to it. I like the groove mode, kind of the rank bit, and you can do teams, you can do solo. Just is so much in this.
Yeah, definitely a great one, and plays and looks fantastic. You know, if you play it on the Redream, obviously it's not going to upscale it particularly because it's just 2D tends not to do, but it just looks so good on a modern TV. Really does.
There's a bit of background controversy around this, around the SNK sprites are better than a lot of the Capcom sprites. And there's a bit of levelled that the Capcom art team was lazy and used sprites from older games where SNK redrew a lot of theirs.
Yeah, actually,
Not that
you're right.
notice some
Actually,
of
you
that.
can notice it does look a little. Yeah. Oh, it's a shame, isn't it? Because yeah, now you say it, I can totally see it. Yeah, but yeah, no, brilliant game, brilliantly balanced, and you know, if you love your fighting games, this is definitely an awesome one to play. As you say, it's a great one. Okay, shall we go on to the next game then?
Let's head there.
Yeah, so we're now on. I really like this game. It might not be to everybody's taste, but it is Centipede, which came out in 2000. So this was when Hasbro got the Atari license, and they decided they came out with it, wasn't it? With at this time there was like a trilogy of remasters. They certainly had a trilogy of games. They had Centipede, which they released, Frogger, and Cubert, and I'm big. Well, Frogger less so, but I was a big fan of the Cubert update and this Centipede update, developed by Leaping Lizard Software and published by Hasbro Interactive. And this is really good because you've basically got you got the original game there if you want to play it, but they essentially did a 3D version of Centipede. It's quite its own thing, isn't it? It's sort of like overhead, and it becomes like an arena shooter where the centipedes are coming you all directions, and you've got mushrooms clustered in all directions. But essentially, it's the same idea, isn't it? You're shooting up all the centipedes. You've got to clear them out. I just find it a real, I don't want to say chill game, but it's one of those games like all the good arcade ones where you can just, I don't know, just enjoy, work your way through it, and I've always found it held up quite well. I mean, what's your thoughts with this one? Do you want to describe it more for Alice?
I'd never played it until it was on the list. If I'm honest.
Cool. Yeah, because a lot of people were. Yeah, I'm not surprised because a lot of people it passed them by. Yeah, so I'm curious to know what you think then, coming in at gold.
Yeah, no, I liked it. I think that it's got different camera angles.
Mm-hmm.
You can be down close and
yeah, I always tend to do down close. Yeah.
Yeah, and up. It's got some great touches to the original arcade game. So it uses a lot of the sounds from the original arcade game, which give it a real bit of nostalgia. I like the kind of a mission-based bit of it where you like cross little bridges to the next area, and it is just a fantastic update of an arcade classic. I really enjoyed it. I will be. Well, this is one of the ones that I will be playing more of because it's just fun.
Yeah,
it's
very
bright. It's fun. It's very bright. You can kind of lose yourself in it, I think, because you don't have to think about it. You know what you have to do with it. Hasn't got lots of fire and lots of other things to think about. It is just a really good game to put on and immerse yourself with it. It is Centipede for the 2000s.
Yeah, I'm glad you like it because I'm a huge fan of this one. And the one thing I will say as well is the Dreamcast is by far the best version because on the PC version you only had 4 levels, and then the PlayStation version which came out you only had 5, but I think this had 6. It certainly had the more levels, more content, because I think the PlayStation came out after the Dreamcast version. And yeah, it's just one that people tend not to, they think, oh god, like a remake of an arcade classic, do me a favour, and they look elsewhere. but it's a really enjoyable, entertaining game, as you say, and I think it does a great update. And of course, you've got the original there if you wanted to sort of play it, but I mean, these days you're better going to MAME, isn't it, and play the original arcade game. But yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed this one. That's really good. It does mix it up, and yeah, certainly of the trilogy, I think it's of those sort of like Hasbro remakes, I think it's one of the best ones. And of course, it's got that fun intro as you're the hapless hero, isn't it? Brought in to, to take them on. Yeah, no, really, really good. Oh, good. Who'd have thought it, listeners, that I would be introducing the G-Man to a shooter?
Yeah, no, you were. You did.
That's one for the bucket list. Awesome. Right. Okay. Yeah, and I will say actually, there's a nice variety as you progress through. They it's not all just the same board. It's quite, it's the levels get more expansive as it goes on. So there is that sense of progression, which is great as well. And it's quite a long game, really. I mean, there's quite a lot of levels. There's quite a lot to get your teeth into, really. I mean, well, I say, like for this era, like 2 hours is quite long for this sort of game. So, that's playing it perfectly. Awesome. Right, shall we go on to the next game then? We're on our 8th game. We're getting there. And this was a big deal, wasn't it? Because it was basically, it was one of the first sort of like net games, and I mean, I remember this was one that you would pick up for pennies, but it was really, really good because it was quite an early release. It was ChuChu Rocket, wasn't it? Released in 1999 by the Sonic team, and was of course done by Yuji Naka, Sonic the Hedgehog fame and Phantasy Star Online and things like that, and Takanami Kaya, who did Billy Hatcher and those sort of games. But I'm going to pass it to you because I feel I've been talking enough here. Do you want to describe this interesting little puzzle game that came out exclusively again to the Dreamcast?
Yeah. So it's a puzzle game. It takes place on like a squared board, and you use arrows to direct the choo-choos, which are mice.
Robotic mice, aren't they?
Yeah. Yeah, into rocket, and in essence, you go into a rocket, and on the left-hand side of the screen, you can see how you're filling up. You have to avoid kapus, and they are cats, like robotic cats. It gets extremely fast and frenetic with the cursors and how the choo-choos go around the board, and you have to direct them into kind of the right exit as you go around. You're playing against computer. You can play local kind of multiplayer, and it was a multiplayer, like Paul said, a net game when it came out. When you look at videos of it, it looks like what is going on here? What's going on? But as you play it, it kind of makes more sense, and you'll get a bit of strategy around it. And to shepherd the mice out of and into the exit
to the spaceship to take off, isn't it? Yeah,
it is.
It's got great music. It's just a chill game, isn't it? It was so unique at the time. It was nice playing, a unique new non-Tetris puzzle game, wasn't it? Really, it was nice playing something a bit different. I probably appreciated it more. No, I did appreciate it back in the day, but of course, I guess I was more drawn to the prettier things and that side. But yeah, it's just, as I say, it's a really good puzzle game, isn't it, really? I mean, there's not that much more you can say about it, but just was a unique concept, and the online capabilities was a big deal back in the day, wasn't it? Although I don't think I ever played it online. I never really got into the online on the Dreamcast. I've always been a bit of a loner when it comes to gaming. I'm not really a big multiplayer.
I played Phantasy Star Online multiplayer on obviously online
Yeah.
on the Dreamcast, but I never played this online. I think when it came out, it was an early release, and I think at the time I had other games like Tokyo Highway Challenge, and I played more than this. So I think I dipped into it when it was current, and I haven't dipped back into it until last week.
Yeah, no, I was the same way. I only sort of played it again for the show, because it's one that just always goes to the bottom of the pile, doesn't it, really? You don't think to play ChuChu Rocket, but it is, yeah, it was nice. I really enjoyed my time with it, when I was grabbing some footage for the show. Right, but shall we go on to the penultimate game? We're at number 9. Are you ready?
Yeah, I am ready.
This is an awesome one. This is Confidential Mission. It came out in 2001 and, of course, developed by Hitmaker as a Sega internal studio, and published by Sega, and, of course, done by many of the people that worked on the Virtual Cop series and such like. And Crazy Taxi and Hitmaker obviously worked on Crazy Taxi and things like that. I'm going to pass it to you because I can hear you chomping at the bit here. Do you want to describe this fantastic light gun shooter?
It is a light gun shooting game. I say, like Paul says, big history along with Virtua Cop, House of the Dead 2. This is a really fun game. You had in the arcade, which I've seen, it's got an awesome arcade cabinet. It's got great illustrations of the two heroes, which are Howard and Gene. So you play special agents, and you play as a CMA agent, and you play Howard Gibson, I think it is, and he's like, it looks a bit like James Bond, but kind of David Swimmer was kind of doing that.
Yeah.
So the aim of it is to stop the bad guys who've got the computer disk, and it's about programming a satellite. So you start off kind of in a museum or in the offices where the disk is stolen, and you work your way through the different levels. You can play it with a light gun, which I did, or you can play it with a controller.
You got to play with it. These games, you got to do it with a light gun. But of course, sadly, you need a CRT, don't you, for these light gun games, really?
Yeah, you do. But I did put a little video on our Discord of me, or a group of me playing it. So you shoot the terrorists through the levels. It's got some fantastic visuals, animation of things that are not just the background. It's got a nice clear display. So your magazine, and it also shows you where in the top left where you shoot the enemies.
Yeah, it's cool, isn't it? So you can get a sense with the points and that.
Yeah, of where you get it, and it's also got a justice shot. Will come up when you shoot them on the weapon.
Yes.
The circle around them lights up, I think, green, yellow, red, the closer they get to shooting you. So you need to shoot them for that. As you go through between kind of levels within the stage, there's mini games. So the mini games can be shooting, I think the first one's like shooting gas canisters in a lift.
Yeah.
Then you have to shoot kind of a grappling hook to get from one building to another. And as you go through the game, that someone just pressing the button quickly to unleash the train on the train level. When you go through corridors and on the train levels, for example, the panning of the camera is fantastic. It gives a real sense of progression. And then sometimes you go around, the enemies are right in your face. There's also civilians, which you big red cross comes up if you shoot them as you go through. There's a real sense of pace and urgency in the game. I didn't finish it. I got I don't know. I got to near the end, I think. But I'd looked at the later levels and what happens. There's a training mode in the game as well, and I thought that was so hard with a controller. If I'm being really honest, it's a lot easier with the light gun.
Yeah,
but I think
I can't play it with a controller. I did miss having a light gun with this, because unfortunately I haven't got my CRT anymore. Because I really I love the Dreamcast gun. I mean, it looks a bit ugly compared to like the ones you got on the PS2 and whatnot, but it functionally it works really well, doesn't it?
It does. If you are downloading this to play on an emulator or on a computer, do not download the American ROM. If you've got the light gun, doesn't work on it. Only works on the Japanese and UK ROMs.
I get it because of the hertz. Is it? Is that?
No, I played it at 60. I think it had a block in America.
Ah, okay.
Which is so ironic.
It is, isn't it? I love that game. So they do buck hunter. You're okay shooting like defenseless poor animals, but shooting villains, that's not allowed. Yeah, I love this. I mean, basically, it's like, as you say, it's James Bond madness meets Virtua Cop. I actually prefer this to the Virtua Cop games because it's just that little bit more crazy, that little bit more interesting variety of the levels, which I mean, I love Virtua Cop, don't get me wrong, but I mean, this, as you say, you're going through trains, you're taking on tanks, you feel kind of like a James Bond and Jane Bond, I guess. I don't know if I can never remember. Well, she's Sophia, isn't it? I think. But yeah, it's just a really good shooter, and I'm so envious because every time I've seen this retro events, the cabinets never worked. So I've only ever seen the cabinet. I've never been lucky enough to play this in the arcades. So have you managed to try it in the arcades when you see it at retro events? Or
yeah, I've seen it in an arcade. I have. There's a couple of different types of cabinet really. There's the Naomi one, a smaller one, and there's a much larger, bulky one where you play side by side.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, I didn't have long on it because it's quite a popular game to use, but I was really happy to sort of cycle back over to this game. I think that it's my it's one of my favourite light gun games. Like you've said for you as well, it's just something about it. But the train level for me is my favourite level because of the progressing down the aisle and the panning around. Gives it a real sense of kind of he's got urgency, and you've got to be quite precise with it. One thing I would say, the magazine is just six bullets, so you do find yourself reloading frequently. And I played it just to get as far as I can. But if you play it for points, you can shoot the briefcase, and the briefcase will drop out the floppy disks, which will get you like 5,000 points as you go, and you can shoot. There's a machine gun in the game that will give, I think you get about 40 bullets from that, and you can shoot grenades on the floor that will blow up or explode and kill some of the enemies around it. So there's more depth in this game than as much depth as you think for a light gun game. But the acting's quite fun in it as well, of what we need to do.
Oh, it's a typical cheese.
The interaction, it's but it's just so cheap. It's good, isn't it? It helps make the game.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the same like House of the Dead level of cheese, but that's kind of what you want. It would feel wrong if it was serious. Yeah, I mean, I love this. I mean, probably House of the Dead 2 is probably my favourite light gun shooter. But having said that, yeah, I'd probably say this is my second. I certainly think it's even better than your Virtua Cop games, and I love those. Don't get me wrong, but this really sort of takes that idea and runs with it, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm like you. It's behind House of the Dead 2. I went up to the loft to get a light gun down.
Yeah.
I actually got a sealed House of the Dead 2 light gun pack with a game in it. So I
Your
was like,
collection is so
didn't also add
immense.
that.
Yeah, live it out. We're gonna, yeah. You lucky sod. Oh no, yeah, it's a real shame, isn't it, that I know that there's some modern you see those sort of dodgy adverts on Facebook where I've never been brave enough to perhaps buy, but they're basically light guns for the modern TV, but with all the games packed in to it,
Yeah.
all the light guns. I have heard good things about it, though. I've never tried
No,
them because I sort of miss the light gun games.
I think is it Sinden, the one the make that
Yeah.
go into it.
Well, you can buy because I do actually own an Aim Tracks, which was like before the Sinden. I think Sinden's far better, but I do have one in storage of the Aim Track. I think at the time my PC was a bit flaky and it just didn't work that well when I tried it. I perhaps should go back to it, but it's one of the things that I do need to sort of like try and play some of these games because
Well,
yeah.
when you have space for CRT again, Paul, give me a shout. I've got my stash of spares for a rainy day.
It's insane. I love your collection. Yeah, I eventually lost the battle, sadly, with as Mira's got older. It's just and the place has got seemingly smaller. I just my retro collection is the only ones special to me are in storage. The ones I sort of grew up with specifically. But thankfully we do live in the world where emulation is so good that for the most part I don't miss it. But light guns is one thing that I do miss them. Right, okay, we're on our final game. We've rattled through these, haven't we? But it's good. So, as you heard with that funky music, this is one that maybe a lot of people don't know about, but I really like it. It's Cosmic Smash. It came out in 2001 by the Sega Rosso development house, and of course done by Sega, another internal team. This is a really sort of like trippy. I put it in the same category as like Res and things like that. I mean, a lot of people played Res, but this was sort of like kind of like that futuristic visuals breakout style game meets Res, isn't it? You sort of
Yeah, on my notes, mate, I've got feels like Res crossed with Pong and Tron.
Yes, I think that's a very good description there. So do you want to describe it to our listeners a little bit more? It's a weird game, isn't it?
It is. It does remind me of like a fleshed out virtual tennis mini game, and someone's going to make a game of that. It is a 2001 release in the arcades, and it was a 2001 release for the Dreamcast. Obviously, it's an arcade conversion. The arcade Naomi cabinet is stunning. Black with a white frame. Really, really like that. So it is a game of kind of like imagine a squash court, and you have blocks at the other end, and you're hitting a ball towards them, and it because of the depth and the 3D, there's different levels of blocks and a variety of shots that you do. It is very modern and say futuristic because I think it is like you're playing on a ship. But the levels are as if you're going to different transit stops, and between each level it will say that you get scores for trick shots if you don't lose a ball. The variety of shots you use on each level. Some of the levels you'll have to hit the blocks from behind, and as we go through, there's a lot of humour. It will tell you to turn off cell phones and let's begin. And it's just very enjoyable. I do sometimes wonder how on earth this became a standalone game.
Yes, it's not enough really to it, is it, to be a standalone game? It's incredibly short. There's not much variety, but there is something. It's a bit like Res, where it's got that just something just very chill and enticing about it, isn't it?
And again, it's that great arcade game where you could zone out playing this game. A bit like I said, but you can become very invested in it for a short space of time. It is addictive. It's got some, although I said it's quite short and it's not really a standalone game, it is very addictive, like Pong was. Because of the simplicity of it, it makes it that one more go of, I can get to another stop in the game, I can get to another level, I can kind of beat my score in the game. At the end of the game, it kind of says, we love Cosmic Smash, and it runs through all of your scores from the stages, and there's a really good animation of like white futuristic space kind of suited Sega team with Sega on the back building the court in space.
Yes, yeah.
But it's one to try. I do enjoy it, but I love Virtua Tennis. But I did always wonder, how did this become a standalone?
Yeah, and I thought that at the time. I mean, this was another one, sadly, I didn't buy. I did have quite a sizable Dreamcast collection, but the unfortunately the really rare ones that wouldn't have been rare when I was, because I had the Dreamcast in the day, I sort of supplemented, and this was one that I don't think I would have. I was sort of intrigued when I saw the reviews and saw the screenshots, but I could see that perhaps there wasn't enough there to justify purchasing the whole game. I do like when you miss the ball that he quite angrily throws it to bounce it, and then you carry on. Yeah, it's quite cool. But yeah, it's just another one that, and this is really as perhaps even just with these 10 games that we've gone through, it just shows you. I mean, there's quite a few unique games that only came out on the Dreamcast and I mean, all the arcades, but I mean, this is one that I don't know. I've never really got my head round doing the proper sort of like this era of arcade emulation. There's probably more on me rather than it being difficult, but I always tend to play the Dreamcast versions rather than find the actual sort of like arcade ROMs to play them in the home. But yeah, it's just a unique one. Looks brilliant on because it's got that sort of like Res Tron visuals. But you're right, there's probably not enough here to justify the original asking price. And God knows, I expect this is another expensive one, isn't it? Because
as it was Japanese only, it's about £150.
Wow, yeah. Do you remember well, you probably don't remember because you were a good boy. But you used to have Disc Juggler, which was it's all coming back to me now. With it was a tool that would let you put the game and you'd try and you'd have to buy the 700 megabyte CD rather than the 650. It had to be that slightly bigger one, or 800 ideally. And then get these games. Oh, awesome. Yeah.
Just so on the Naomi board, it's about £300, and about 100. There's one here for 125
for the arcade.
Dreamcast.
Oh, the Dreamcast. Wow. Yeah. It's a shame but again, like as we've said, like emulators or GD, like the GD ROMs. I mean, they work brilliantly, don't they? They do such a good job. Which is why a lot of the reason why, because I've got I do have the original Dreamcast with the GD-ROM. I've kept a small contingent of games that are really special to me on the Dreamcast, but the rest I've sold on because they do catch good prices, don't they? But again, I think I mean, when you look at that lineup, of the of our first part of the voyage of discovery, and hopefully we'll continue the journey. I mean, it's an amazing lineup of 10 games there, isn't it? And a nice
That's awesome.
range. Yeah, I mean, so go on then. What would be your favourite? So give your favourite, and then your best surprise and your weakest of those 10
Border Down, I
is your
think, would
favourite. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
be my favourite. Surprise, I have to say Centipede,
Mm-hmm.
because I've never really played it before. Weakest, although I like it, I think I'd say Cosmic Smash.
Yeah, I think you're probably right there, isn't it? Because there isn't a lot to it, really. You've pretty much seen everything. I know they put you against other like computer characters later on if you go in the game, but it's yeah, there isn't a lot of variety. You've pretty much seen everything there is once you got used to the visual style. Yeah, no, I sort of agree with that. I mean, for me, I don't know. I mean, I love so many of these games, but probably my favourite would be, oh, they're all so good, aren't they? I mean, it'd probably be Confidential Mission, if I'm honest, if I had a light gun and a CRT. And I guess surprise. Well, I mean, obviously, I selected these games for the most part, so there's no real surprise. But obviously, Cannon Spike is awesome. Hopefully, that'll be a surprise to our listeners. And probably the weakest is, I don't know. Yeah, I'm probably going to go with Cosmic Smash, like you. Actually, I think you're absolutely right. But it is. I mean, all of these games are worthy of your time, and I really hope to our listeners that you'll give these games a try and experience them, and hopefully come to the conclusion that we have, which is the Dreamcast is a wonderful, wonderful machine with many surprising titles on it and interesting titles that really hold up today.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, for me, like I said, Border Down was just a narrow victory. I feel my favourite over Capcom versus SNK. Were there any kind of honourable mentions that didn't quite make the list from you, Paul?
Oh, probably. I'm not prepared. Let me have a look.
Oh, that's okay then.
Is there any that you would have put from this? Only up to the letter CO.
Yeah, there's a couple of shooters I quite liked. Castle's Chicken Army 2, which was a late release, official release in 2004 for the Dreamcast, which is kind of a bullet grazing vertical shmup. And it's got a unique system called the tension system, so around your proximity and closest to it and how it multiplies your score. And Chaos Field from Milestone, who are ex-Compile team, and there's like Milestone shooting collections on the Wii and Wii U and other consoles, but it's kind of like a boss rush kind of game, and you've got two fields, like a calm field and a chaos field, and you can switch between the two. And in the chaos field, your bullets and lasers are more powerful, but you get more enemy bullets flying your way. It's quite a slow paced game. It's really quite good, but it'd be a good one if people have got or haven't just put an emulator and try.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just looking through here. I mean, it just shows you actually. You could have chosen easily so many more. Yeah, Four Wheel Thunder is a fun, like, good version of the Midway arcade game. It's probably one of the weaker of that Thunder series because obviously like Hydro Thunder and all of those, but that's quite a good one. What other ones do I like? I know a lot of people rate Bangio, but I don't really get
so strange, isn't it?
Yeah, one that's really good, and just simply I don't really like your Resident Evil style shooters, but Blue Stinger's quite good if you like those sort of games. Probably Chicken Run actually is surprisingly good.
I played that.
Yeah. And Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, that's a good one as well. That's done by Traveller's Tales, who of course went on to do all the Lego games and often feature. So that's quite good. I mean that's the thing. You could choose so many more, like carrier and things like that. But yeah, no, I do love the Dreamcast. It's got a great library of interesting titles, and I'm really excited down the line. I mean, obviously we'll leave it a good few episodes before we perhaps relook at it, but I mean, well, we know that we know where Volume 2 will begin with CR. But there's so many great Dreamcast games that we've yet to share with you all, and I really hope, as always, and it's always great with our the core listeners are always on Discord. They always make a point of playing these games and joining in on the fun and just discovering these games or rekindling their nostalgic memories of these games. It's quite a little club, isn't it, where people sort of like dive in and give it a try, which is what it's all about. We absolutely adore it. Right, okay, well, unless there's anything else you want to say, shall we wrap things up?
Yeah, no, it's been great getting reacquainted with probably what is my kind of favourite console.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. So, boys and girls, I hope you enjoy, and as always, keep it retro.